welcome to the next episode of the Live Your Spa Life show. Spa life is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. The Spa and Spa Life, the SPA, is for Seek Power Always, that power within you to do your bigger work here in the world. I am so thrilled and excited to have our special guest today, Lisa Pezik, who is a content and business strategist, a Thrive Global author, speaker, and RN, is driven to help you take your business online with excellence. Her strategies and systems get online presence so that potential customers can get noticed and become clients fast. She lives outside Toronto, Ontario with her husband, Eric, and their son, Oliver, who is 5, and their 2 kitties, Caesar and Castor. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, your story inspires me so much, just the trajectory of your life and what you were up to. And it's so perfect as we're talking to, our clients here and our listeners around empowerment of women, about what are some of the things that disempower us in our life and the things that actually have us stand more deeply in our power. I'd love for you to start with sharing with the audience, what have been parts of your life that, were disempowering for you?
Yeah, growing up, I heard a lot of things on replay kind of over and over. And it was things like, Lisa, you won't date that boy, or, Lisa, you're going to go to this college, you're going to take this job, the freshman 15, what was that? You put on 30 pounds. So there were always comments about my weight or the friends I was hanging out with or the boys I was dating or the path that I was taking in life. And it turned off that internal switch of who am I? What do I want? Where do I want to go in my life? Who do I want to be? What feels right to me? What doesn't feel right to me? That I started just doing what other people would tell me to do. And I didn't think I had any other option to live my life the way I wanted to. And that led me eventually, to dating the wrong kinds of guys, to getting in the wrong career path, to always kind of feeling this misalignment and this like unrest because I wasn't showing up in the world the way I wanted to and what made, the best sense to me. And I look at the way I was raised, and although there were parts of it that weren't healthy, that weren't okay, it was what my parents knew how to do with what they were given, because they didn't know any better. They didn't know there could be a better. They didn't know change was possible. And it wasn't until I was pulling out of a parking lot, I was 34, so a few years ago, pulling out of a parking lot, and I hear this ding, 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 text after text after text coming in on my phone. And as you heard about Eric and Oliver, my family, my first thought was, oh my God, as a mom, when the texts are rolling in, you're like, somebody's dead, something happened, holy crap. So I pull over and I pull out my phone, and actually it was my mom. And it said, Lisa, we haven't spoken in quite some time, but there are things about yourself that I want you to know. And it said, you are heartless, you have no soul, and you are no longer any daughter of mine. You're not my daughter anymore.
Wow. That's a blow.
Yeah. And when I get upset, when I get mad, I cry. I'm not a big crier, but when I'm mad, I cry. So I put that phone back in my purse, and I wasn't even thinking. I put that car in drive, and I'm so mad. My hands are shaking, and I'm bawling my eyes out. But then something in my gut said, Lisa, stop. Just hold up, stop. And I hadn't even looked up yet. I slammed on my brakes, and just as I looked up, literally out in the intersection, the transport truck had just missed smashing me in my car.
Wow. Wow.
And
I want to take a pause on this, because this is such a powerful, people don't always realize pivotal moments in their life, like when things start happening and shifting. And when we look at the power of women, the times that you stand in your power and the time that we give it away and we feel like we're at our lowest. And so many times there's been things outside of ourselves where people have said things to us, especially family, where when we hear this on record over and over again, and we start internalizing it, it becomes, what my friend refers to as the bully in your head, the things that we start believing of what is in our space and what impacts us. And we start acting from that place. So this is so important for our listeners to start reflecting on what are those noises that are happening in your head from your own life experiences. And if you're at that particular crossroads, I mean, you literally across in the road of when that happens, what are some of the things that you can do to shift and change this? And so, Lisa, what happened after that moment, and what happened where you started standing more in your power, and what shifted for you that day that now leads into not only who you are, but how you serve people?
Such a good question. The first words that came out of my mouth, with my heart pounding and my hands gripped on that steering wheel, I said, enough is enough. The only voice I'm listening to is my own. And that changed everything for me. It changed the reason why I'm in business and why I help women amplify their voice and build their business and their websites and their funnels and their courses and all of those things that on paper are amazing, more impact, more income. But for me, it's about realizing the gifts that you were given and your stories and your power, putting that out to the world so that that ripple effect can happen. Right. So because it's not about me. Like in my business, I was like, I need to serve X amount of women and I need to make X amount of income because that supports my family. And this is how I want to show up and this is what I want to do. And I'm like, it's not about you, Lisa. It's about the impact you can have on other people when you choose to show up bigger and do those videos and put yourself out there. And it was like an internal thing that shifted for me.
Right.
And the same with, just being the kind of mom that I am and the wife that I am, it made me really evaluate what kind of influences and environment am I allowing in my life?
Right.
Because if I continue, I mean, it was 30 years of dealing with my mom's mental health and just our family history of mental health. And it went from this anger about it to this seeing it as a gift that it was almost like in that crossroad, it was like, somebody or something up above, whether you believe in God or the universe or divine, whatever, it was like something was saying, this is the path now, Lisa, that you have to take, whether you want to or not. Right. This is what you have to do. You have to I never told this story. I started telling this story when I do workshops and speeches and, we're in the mastermind together with Bo Eason when we're learning about this story. It's like, this was a piece of my life in me that I would never want anyone ever to know.
Right.
But it's so powerful because that's what drives me to help women get aligned with the business they want to build and become more visible and show up online and tell their stories that they don't want to maybe tell, but there's power and a gift in that. So, I realized that all this pain that I went through and all this stuff that I went through is really the gift that I've been given and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So instead of fighting it, it was like listening to, all right, lady, like you've been pushed down this road. Right. And now if you don't, you got to go. Like, this is where you got to go with it. So it really was that enough is enough defining moment of looking at how I show up, who I want to be. And again, what influences I allow in my life. That was the come to Jesus moment. I haven't spoken to my mom in over 4 years. That was 4 years ago. And some people don't know what to do with that because they're like, it's your mother and you have to we're taught, honor your father and mother. I grew up Catholic, it was like, you didn't do that, but it made me realize that, you have to look at what influence it's having in your life.
Right.
And it was making me smaller. It was making me doubt myself. It was making me believe that bully in my head that I wasn't good enough. And who am I? I'm an RN by degree. Who am I to leave my stable RN job and go become an entrepreneur and do all these things? It's like my parents grew up blue collar, like keep your head down, do your job, work hard, be thankful for it. It was like really breaking the mold of everything I'd ever been taught or anything that I've ever been told about myself.
Right.
And that was that defining moment of, who the hell am I? What the hell do I want? And now what am I going to go do with that?
Right.
And in a way, I'm thankful for those text messages, and I'm thankful, as awful as that sounds, I'm thankful for that, because I truly say it was like the jolt that woke me up to go,
right.
Come on now, lady. If you keep going down this road, you're not going to be happy. I mean, that's the thing about being a nurse. I've worked at end of life care. And I didn't want to be that person on my deathbed going, I should have done this. I should have taken that road. I could have played bigger there. I could have pursued that passion. I was like, no, this is the road that's been laid for me. So off we go.
Yeah. Well, I so appreciate the vulnerability. I know that you don't always like to tell that story. There's always aspects of ourself that, it can actually put us back, right? Put us back to those spaces and how we feel. And, it's so important to share this story, because I'm, already when you were telling it, I was thinking of just a couple of my clients that needed to hear that story today. And I'm actually going to direct them specifically to listen to this, because they are in similar crossroads of places where they're at, where there's people, the closest to them in family that are having them question, their sanity, whether or not, they can move forward in who they want to be in the world, and are really feeling beaten down with that. And that can be really tough for women trying to stand in their power, because they are powerful women. But when we let, either the bully in our head or the people in our environment really override that knowingness within ourselves, then we are taken out of the game. We're not here to do the bigger purpose. But when we can actually dig deep and actually use that power to do our bigger work and to see, what, it's not all for nothing. We can actually use that energy to move forward to help the people that you're helping, which is why, so many people are getting support with you, because you bring that passion, you gather all of it within you in order to do that. Which leads me to know, at what point do people know that they need to have your services and your support?
Yeah. I love working with people that have already tried to get out there to do, like, they're putting out content, they're testing their stories or their teachings, or, they kind of have got there, like, I know who I am for the most part, and I know how I want to serve for the most part. And they're out there and they're trying and they're doing their best, but they're not getting the result that they want. I used to think that I wanted to work with very, very beginner people that want to have an online business. But I really realized that, you got to have some skin in the game if you want to be successful in your business or making change in your life. That little bit of, almost Brendan Burchard, a mentor I studied under, calls it necessity. There's got to be that necessity of, you're doing this work because you feel like that crossroad I was at, you feel like this is your gift and you're called to do it and you don't got any other option but to do it.
Right.
Or it's tied to somebody else. You're like, I'm going to get that business online, and that's going to mean that I can provide for my child, or I can have this experience, or I could donate X amount of money to charity or start that charity, or that it's either tied to you or it's tied to somebody else. And the only way you know that is when, like Brene Brown calls it, you're willing to get in the arena with the blood and the sweat and the dirt and you're willing to take those hits. So I love working with those people that have already tried or trying. They're taking those hits, they're in there, and they're like, man, Like, is there someone else in this arena with me? And I'm like, that's me, sister. Like, that's me, brother. Like, I'm in the arena fighting with you. Let's go fight this fight together. So that's what I find where, maybe you've launched your first course, you've put out your first lead magnet, or you're going live on social media, but you're just maybe not quite getting the response that you want. It might just be a little tweak or something in your content or your copy or delivery. Your program might be not hitting the mark and you need to change some modules or change some things, or you've tried your best. You've thrown up a Wix website, but it ain't converting. And you're like, I did the best with what I knew how, but now I need some help to, make something a little better. Or I tell people, invest at the rate that you grow. So maybe it's not that you're struggling. Maybe you're crushing it. And you're like, I got some good income coming in. I now want to up the quality. I want to make my website 10 times better. I want to, up the quality of my course or the production level. I want to now have a funnel that, that sells my course and gets that information out there. So you may be crushing it and you just don't know. You're already making 6 figures and you want to get to 7, or whatever, 5 figures and you want to get to 6. Like, you've already had some success, but you want to scale and either scale bigger or you want to make something better. That's the best way to, that's the time when you should come to me.
Yeah, that is so great. And, I know in part of if serving people, there, again, it goes back to those things that you lay foundationally for yourself to be able to show up the best for the people that you're working with. And one of the things we talk about here at Spa Life is how you design your life versus just living by default. What are some of the things that you design in your life that allow you to excel at the level that you do?
Yeah, I am such a ninja about block time. Like, if you look at my planner, pretty much almost every minute, like every hour of every day at least, you will know what I'm doing, what I'm showing up for. And it's like one thing in one block of time. So I think, as women, this multitasking is such a curse. We think we can do 20 different things at once and be productive, and you can't. And I know all our areas of our life do cross over, but I don't know about you, but like, I got a little guy, he's 5, and I have a real hard time trying to be mom and be businesswoman, like, at the same time. Like, I got a real hard line between like, this is the hour that I'm doing this podcast, or I'm coaching these people, or I'm making this video, and that's all I'm doing. And it's like, mom's off limits for an hour, because then maybe the next hour, it's like mom puts that work to rest. And now I'm like 110% focused on doing a puzzle, playing a game, reading a book, do whatever I'm doing with my little guy. Like, I have my day blocked out between like all my roles in life, between a wife and connecting with my husband, being a mom and being there for my little guy, business work, growth work, physical work, like my own workouts, cooking healthy meals, meditation, recovery, practicing my teachings and stories, like knowing what moves the needle for you. I call it your productive outputs, your productive quality outputs, because you got to know what they are and you got to be consistent with them. So some of them that I do, I podcast weekly, I blog weekly, I go live weekly, I do a newsletter weekly, I speak every other week or so. So there's always prep work around that. But it's like, I know these are the things that make me visible. So I have that. You'll know every week when I'm shooting my podcast, when I'm writing my blog, like everything, those outputs in my business is blocked. As well as Friday night, today's Friday when we're shooting this, Friday night is pizza and movie night as a family. And it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock, phones go in the drawer, shut her down, time with my family, and that's that. And it took me, I learned that the hard way. Like, I used to try to be that multitasking woman, doing everything all at once, and it made me like a less patient mom. I wasn't showing up the way I wanted to with my clients or the content in my videos. So getting really that block time, getting really dialed in and focused on like one thing at a time is something that like really has helped me scale and just be excellent at the way I show up and my focus and my productivity and all of that. So I think that's like the best tip I can give people.
Right. Yeah. This is such a critical conversation, because we have this illusion that if we're doing multiple things or we're working extra late, that we're going to get more things done. But there's so many studies that have proven that, if you do work later, it doesn't mean that you're actually having more impact. And, sometimes people really shy away from having those. I love how you talk about ninja blocks of time. Because I'm the same way, because they feel that it may feel too rigid or that they are not having spontaneity. But actually, structure gives you freedom. When you actually have those things in place, it's within those structures you can be creative, you can do the things that you can do. And it's so important to have those blocks for our family and for the reasons that we're actually doing the business in the first place, right? If we can't actually enjoy time with our family, or it's like as soon as I get the next client, as soon as my kid graduates, well, we can, you and I, especially working in critical professions, RN and police department, we know how tomorrow may not come, right? We know how, fragile life can be. And it's so important to build each day where you're getting that value and you're getting that, those wins in your business and those wins in your family, and how those things cross together. And it may not look like, there's that illusion of balance. It may not look like it all in the same day, but you want to look at the overview picture of the full week or the month or even the quarter, about where are you just, crushing it and moving it forward in your business, and then where are you having recovery and taking care of yourself so that you can be creative again, so that you can stay in the game for the long term and the long gains in doing that. Which reminds me of having us look at environments. Environments are so important about how we create our space and what we're doing, with it and how we are, because we are different in our bedrooms versus our kitchens versus our offices. And so I always love to ask my guests, what is your favorite room in your home and why?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I love our bedroom. We did like a revamp of our bedroom. Was it 3 Christmases ago? Instead of buying gifts for each other, my hubby and I, because we're like, what does one need at 30, 40 some years of life, right? We're like, we could buy each other boxers and socks and all that stuff. We're like, it was to the point where we had our bed for 10, 12 years, and we found ourselves in the morning, we found ourselves rolling into the middle of the bed somehow together, right? And we're like, this is so bad. Or my husband would be like, wow, my back, kind of, he's 40, right? So he's not old, but he's like, my back, kind of hurts. And I'm like, babe, we're too young to be having back pain, right? So we're like, we just need a new bed. And then we kind of thought about it, and we thought, we go hard. We're both entrepreneurs, both believe in service, show up so hard for people that we're like, we got to do that same recovery and rest and goodness to ourselves. Yeah. So we bought most expensive bed, but I swear it's like sleeping on a pillow. I've never slept so good in my whole life. We got an amazing bed. We put a fireplace in there, so it's comfy, cozy. We shelled out the money to get closet. It's called Closet by Design. So people know California Closet. So it's everything. You would love this, right? Because clutter drama. I got his side, her side. So organized, built in, beautiful closet. Go through that, cleaned out all the clothing we never wear, donated a whole bunch. So our bedroom is such a haven of warmth and cozy and rest and connection and recovery and no clutter and cleanness that I got a little salt lamp in there that I use as my little night light. It's we get the essential oils that we spray in there at night. We've just created this haven of, we get in that bedroom at night and we're just yeah. We can just relax and rejuvenate so that we can go hard the next day and serve and show up the way we want to. So there's several areas of my home that I love, but actually I love going to bed at night. I love our bedroom. We used to have a TV in there, and I'm like, the TV needs to go. I'm like, no TV in the bed, So me and my hubby went back and forth between what's going to be in there. And I'm like, no TV in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, then we don't connect, and then we watch the darn boob tube and we're not showing up for each other. So
right. I love this so much. I mean, of course, I'm such a big fan of your environments and what you create and what you do. And that can actually be a big point of contention for couples about having electronics in the bedroom. And it's such an important boundary to have because, we do get disconnected. I mean, it affects our sleep because the electronics, going to sleep, actually having time to connect and be together. So we're the same way, no electronics. We don't have any TVs in the room or anything like that. We still sometimes have that little sneak with our phone, but we try and really make an effort to have that, like, an hour before we go to bed, like we just kind of, cut that off and not have that happen. And so, it's a practice we're still working on and doing, but it's so important to create sanctuary space within our home and our environments to do that. So I love the fact that you guys have done that on such an epic level. And it's so important because you can see the results right away. You will always get a return on, creating spaces that allow you to thrive and be better at doing the things that you can do. And so, speaking of being better, I know that our listeners are going to want to connect with you more and that you have a free gift. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's an assessment of your business. It's like the 9 essentials, meaning that it's a great way to just look at where do I stand? Because as we were talking about earlier, I'm all about, and I know you are too, awareness and then action. And that assessment really helps you look at the awareness of, I talked about those quality outputs and those like knowing what you need to be doing and what you need to have built and what needs to be there in order to show up and serve the world in the way you want to, especially in your business. So it allows you just to go through and go, yep, I have that. Or yeah, I have that, but I haven't touched it in years. Or no, I don't have that. Oh, I didn't even know that I need that. What is that thing? So it's just a way to raise awareness around, and it's not to say like around what you need, but it's also a way to go, maybe next year I'll get that. Or this is what I'm going to focus on this year. So I think when we get stuck sometimes in our business, we're so much working our business and we're like in our business and serving in our business that we never take a step back to look at it and go, what exactly do I need? Or what have I done? Or where do I need to go next? So it's a way to get a really good assessment of where you're at, and you can find out where you're at and where you need to go quite quickly based on whatever goal you have this year or this quarter or this month in your business. So that's my gift. I
love that. Thank you so much. I'm such a fan of assessments because you can't really make decisions on your business or your life if you don't know where you are. So it's so important to really look at that. And like you said, you don't have to implement it all at once, but when you know where all the gaps are and what needs to happen, then you can really make a smart strategic plan of like, okay, this year we're going to do 1, 2, and 3, next year we're going to do this. Maybe you make a 3 to 5 year plan, or you just go, you know what? Hey, I want to do it all. I'm going to delegate it. Right. But unless you know what that looks like, you can't actually make that happen. So I love that. And, our listeners are going to really appreciate that. We'll put all the links in the show notes so that they can grab that. And I know they're going to want to connect with you as well. So how can they do that?
Yeah. So my website, it's my name, www.lisa, Pezik, Pezik.com. That's got all my goodies on there, my podcast, my blog, my newsletters, my live videos, social media links, my courses. There's just so much good free content of how you can get dialed in and learn about showing up the way you want to in your business, in your life. It's all housed there under my website. So I would love for you to go to lisapezik.com and check that out.
Awesome. I love that so much. And I want to thank you so much for your time and being here. And any final thoughts for our listeners?
Oh, I always like to leave by saying, it's so funny, Diane, because if you guys don't know, Diana was just on my podcast and we almost end what we say the exact same way, which is so freaky and fun. What I always tell people is go take action. Action breeds the momentum. And you don't have to have all the steps figured out. You just have to know the first step. And when you take that first step, the other stuff starts to make sense. And you start to see, oh, that is the next place I should go. Or, oh, that is the next person I should talk to. And that's when you do find that mentor or that blog or that podcast. You know, the universe works in a really funny way when you tell it what you want, what you want to build, where you want to go. But if you never take that first step, you're never going to get to that next step and that next step and that next beautiful step. So you don't have to have everything all figured out. Just take that first step, take that action, and you'll get where you want to go.
I love that so much. And, you know, thank you so much. It reminds me of the GPS analogy that unless you actually move the car, the GPS can't tell you where to go. So
Amen.
you need to take that first step in moving in order to have that happen. So I just want to thank you so much for your wisdom and for being here on the show and to sharing that. And, you know, for our listeners, you know, to really take advantage of this, you know, take Lisa's assessment, find out where you're at and what's working with you. Remember, in the show notes will also be my quiz, the liferesetquiz.com. Again, knowing where you are. You guys seeing a trend here about having the pulse on where you need to see where you are and have the awareness? Take these things. They're free, they're easy, they're quick. And when you have the results of those things, you can make the decisions and you can move forward in your business, right? You don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to look at what are the resources at our fingertips and be able to support us. And I also want to just say to our listeners that we so respect your time because we know it's the most valuable resource that you have. And the fact that you are spending it here with us, we don't take that lightly. We really appreciate you being here with us. It's the community that we are building together. And, you know, we would love for you guys, you know, not to just have this be nice information that you heard, but things that you're actually applying to your life and to put into the comments, you know, what is that one takeaway that you're having? What is that aha? Do you have a question? You know, make sure that you tag both myself and Lisa. We're happy to answer any questions that you have and support you further, you know, with this material. We're building communities here. You know, one of the reasons why Lisa and I both have our podcast is so that people have resources to be able to build their life and their business. And so share this, you know, subscribe to our podcast, share the message to, you know that something you heard today, you know, will help somebody else. And so share it and get the word out there. That's how we make the world a better place, is to do our part, you know, to comment, to be involved in community, and to do the things that we are here to do. And that is where we call living your spa life. So until we connect again, live your spa life. Bye for now. See ya.